All right, Maya, thank you very much for organizing this tonight. And yes, today I'd like to talk about Japan's new national security strategy and what it means for the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific. I think many of us know that Japan's post-World War II security footing has been primarily founded on the presence of Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which renounces the use of force as a tool for foreign policy. It's primarily engaged in regional and global relations through overseas development aid, ODA, through foreign direct investment, and a strong focus on building relationships through diplomacy based on trade, infrastructure, connectivity, and cultural diplomacy. These tools have worked well for like-minded countries. Here I'm thinking about the European Union, the United States, South Korea to an extent, and more. But this strategy or this process has not garnered the kinds of benefits or accrued the kinds of benefits that Japan needs to preserve its security within the region. In particular, since the 1990s, the end of the Cold War, what we've seen is China engage in militarization of its region through year by year 10% increases in its military budget. Today, we see the province of Fujian being lined with missiles that are targeted at Taiwan. We see a huge investment in the Chinese Navy, which with the effort of being able to project power. We see the investment in what we call A2D2 systems, anti-access, anti-denial systems all along the east coast of China, with the long-term intention of pushing the United States out from the first island chain, the second island chain, and really creating a G2 accommodation where China has a sphere of influence in the western part of the Pacific, and the United States has a sphere of influence in the eastern part of the Pacific. This Japanese diplomacy in the post-World War II period up to now really has tried to engage with China through trade and economy, educational exchanges, but still today we have enormous challenges in the bilateral relationship, mostly superficial and window dressing commitments to bilateral cooperation, such as third-party infrastructure and connectivity cooperation in third countries. And today, unfavorable ratings of Japan in China is at 60 or 70%, and in Japan, unfavorable ratings of China reach 90 or 95%. So in the case of Japan-China relations, the approach to diplomacy based on Article 9 of the Constitution has not accrued the benefits that Japan has sought when it comes to China. With regards to North Korea, similar results. North Korea today is much more powerful in terms of weapons of mass destruction, the development of various kinds of missile systems to project power into its immediate region, but also using ICBMs to be able to project, in this case, a nuclear weapon to the United States. We see this year that North Korea has tested more missiles in the past 3 months than it has tested in the past 5 years. And it's pursuing what we call a saturation strategy, where it aims to saturate Japan's anti-ballistic missile systems in a way that will compel Japan, South Korea, and the United States to come to the table. So in the case of North Korea, really, again, Japan's approach has not accrued the security gains that Japan would like. And last, we have Russia. Russia's invasion of Ukraine has really raised the specter of a potential kinetic conflict in Japan's backyard. It's shown that authoritarian states like Russia and perhaps China really issue the rules-based order that has secured our peace, security, and prosperity in the post-World War II period, and that Russia continues to work with China in an asymmetric alliance to weaken international institutions and to pressure allies of the United States, which includes Japan. And we see growing cooperation on issues that are important to Japan, such as the Takeshima Islands. And just last year, of course, the Chinese and the Japanese, or the Chinese and the Russians, flew over the Takeshima Islands, the Tokto Islands, to demonstrate that they really are not bound by international law or some of the agreements that they have agreed with. So when we think about Japan's increasingly severe environment, and we think about the national security strategy, and we think about the Indo-Pacific broadly, I think the take-homes is that Japan is in a precarious position vis-a-vis the assertive countries and provocative countries within the region, and that it needed to take a new approach to dealing with its national security within the region to promote what Japan continues to try and support, and that is a rules-based Indo-Pacific region that is based on international law, based on mutual agreement of how we should move forward in terms of trade, commerce, maritime navigation, and that the increasing importance of working with partners like the United States, but also Australia, Canada, the UK, Germany, and others, really to secure a rules-based order in the Indo-Pacific. Based on that, the Japanese have produced the so-called national security strategy. It keeps Japan firmly wedded to the pacifist constitution. Importantly, it talks about not deviating from the three non-nuclear principles. That is, not hosting nuclear weapons, not producing nuclear weapons, and not being a place where nuclear weapons are transported. It commits Japan to not posing a military threat to other countries within the region, and argues that the new national security strategy is exclusively defense-oriented. It reaffirms that the Japan-U.S. alliance is the cornerstone of Japanese security, and that it wants to strive towards coexistence with difficult countries within the region, and that includes China, North Korea, and Russia. That being said, the new national security strategy does and argues for some, I think, important deterrence capabilities that are going to push Japan and test Japan's capabilities. One is this idea of preemptive strike capabilities or counter-strike capabilities. We should understand these capabilities within the context of North Korea's saturation capabilities, that no longer do anti-ballistic missile systems and theater missile defense provide the security that Japan once could argue for, and that it needs a new approach to dealing with securing its national security vis-a-vis North Korea. And preemptive strike capabilities, or at least the ability to do this, is meant to send Pyongyang a stern message that continued provocations will be met with deterrence, and that Japan, working with the United States and other partners, will continue to focus on deterring North Korea's potentially counter-strike capabilities. I think some other important aspects of the national security strategy, which align with the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific, really have to do with focusing on the technological innovation, economic development, and engaging with like-minded countries throughout the region to create a rules-based order that's not necessarily based on democracy or human rights, but rather based on a shared understanding of how the region should develop. This shared understanding should be based on transparent rules-based agreements and understandings within the region, in particular in the sea lines of communication that straddle the Indian Ocean through the South China Sea, Taiwan Strait, and East China Sea. For Japan, this remains existentially important for Japan's security, as almost all its trade and energy resources come through these sea lines of communication. We see that Japan, through its new national security strategy, is also explicitly noting that China is a strategic challenge for Japan and for the region, and that Japan needs new strategies and new initiatives and new partnerships to ensure that Chinese hegemony does not emerge in the region. And some would argue that what's the difference between American and Chinese hegemony? These are, hegemony is just hegemony. And I think that we should be very clear that American hegemony or dominance within the region has, by and large, provided public goods to the region, stability. It's allowed for most governments to evolve in the direction that they would like. It's allowed for freedom of press to emerge. It's allowed for rules-based, transparent, constitutional societies to emerge. And all of this is key to our ability to to enjoy our liberties, our freedoms and rights, to protest against our governments, and keep our governments accountable to its citizens. This is very different than, I think, the Chinese model of hegemony. We see this domestically in the Chinese context with no freedom of press. Really, rule of law does not exist, and that still today the rights of ordinary Chinese citizens are subservient to the party. In this sense, Japan proactively saying that China is a challenge and that Chinese hegemony is not something that Japan is willing to accept really fits within the broader context of Japan's free and open Indo-Pacific strategy or vision that continues to try and create a critical mass of countries that share the same norms, institutional arrangements, understanding how a maritime domain should be managed, and that are willing to work together to build stronger, accountable, transparent institutions within the region. So in a sense, Japan's new national security strategy, amongst many things, really addresses I think, the challenges that the current Japanese constitution, in particular Article 9, cannot address, being North Korea, China, and Russia. It talks about the capabilities that Japan needs to acquire to secure its national security, and it puts this in the context of the importance of a national security strategy that preserves Japan's national interests, and that includes free and open sea lines of communication. It means a rules-based process of negotiating international affairs within the region. It means a secure safety of life, persons, and properties for nationals. It means prosperity, economic growth, and it really stresses this idea of protecting universal values such as freedom, democracy, and respect for human rights, the rule of law, international order based on international law. I think that we should also understand Japan's national security as not a decoupling strategy when it comes to China. What we're seeing over the longer term is that Japan is investing in resilience, it's investing in selective diversification, and it's investing in an economic footprint in China where Japanese businesses will make things in China, by Chinese, for Chinese, with Japanese technologies, such that if there are geopolitical tensions, that they will primarily affect the Chinese citizen, not Japanese citizen. And at the same time, they are finding other hubs of production, in particular Southeast Asia and South Asia, to create alternative production networks that are built close to growing consumer markets, but are in more reliable geopolitical zones. So I think that the new national security strategy really is an important document. It's a clear migration away from the Yoshida Doctrine, which basically farms out security to the United States to allow for Japan to focus on economic growth and economic stability, to arguably an Abe doctrine, or a doctrine that ensures that Japan remains strategically autonomous, very close to its American and like-minded partners, that it fiercely resists Chinese hegemony within the region, but at the same time finds opportunities to continue to engage with challengers to the current rules-based order through trade, through environmental cooperation, through energy cooperation, and of course dealing with the next pandemic, which there will be another pandemic. So with that, I think I'll stop there and open up the floor to Q&A, and I'd be very happy to hear what other people on the call are thinking when it comes to the new national security strategy, but also how it is related to the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific. Thank you.